Oh shit. SFV. Okay. Hello, hello. I don't know what this sounds like. Okay. Hello, hello. I don't know what this sounds like. Okay. I'll turn it up a bit more. I think that. Hello, hello. I don't know what this sounds like. Okay. I'll turn it up a bit more. I think that. Hello, hello. I don't know what this sounds like. Okay. I'll turn it up a bit more. I think that. Hello, hello. I don't know what this sounds like. Okay. I'll turn it up a bit more. I think that. Hello, hello. I don't know what this sounds like. Okay. I'll turn it up a bit. Okay. Probably gonna hopefully be trigger one. That's the only one I really know how to use. The fuck? I go back to my channel, and here we go. I go back to my channel, and here we go. I go back to my channel, and okay, I'm ready for any and all questions. Let me remember how to play this game. If anything's too loud, just let me know. I have the Facebook on my other monitor. I have one monitor with Street Fighter, and I have one monitor with all of your words and questions that you would like to have. And I know you asked me about some stuff, so you should type in Facebook, because I feel like it's a more direct avenue to me. Damn, I should put up, no problem. So, I'm actually gonna put, I'll wait till you come back. Oops. No problem. Um, I'm actually gonna put this framed out over here because I mentioned Frame Assistant tool, the app, but they also have a website. So I'm gonna throw this on this monitor so we can run to that if we need to run to that. Oops. So what's the first thing you want to know about? Learning how to punish something. Okay. Let me actually switch characters to a character that has different special moves because Ryu's special moves they're all unsafe, but it's hard to explain what I mean. I'll show you what I mean. So let's look at let's look at Jury. She would be a good example for this. So one thing about this is you have to get really good at learning how to use training mode. So, oh shit. So let's go to the center of the screen. And so over here you have dummy settings, right? These dummy settings are the whole key to learning how to punish things. So what you want to do, if you want to punish a move, is go back to playback recording, or go over to playback recording, hit action recording settings, record. What we want to do, we're gonna look at Jury's stand roundhouse. So you record the stand roundhouse, and you record a block, and then you switch to playback, and then it'll play it. So what we have set her to do is do the stand roundhouse and then immediately block, which means that she's blocking at the first possible frame, right? Which means if we miss the punish, she'll just block. Also something I want to look at. When you find a move that you want to punish, you gotta look at the numbers or a move that's giving you trouble. Where's the fat online? This is what we're looking for. So frame data, and we're gonna go to Jury. I don't know how to switch character. Here it is. I don't use the website very much. I normally use the app. So Jury, we're looking at Jury and we're looking at her standing heavy kick. 14 frames startup, 3 frames active, recovery frames. This is what it is on hit. This is what it is on block. On block is the important thing. I don't know what this 7 means, but it's -4 basically. Well, I guess that means if she's close to you, it's -7, but generally you want to assume that it's going to be the first number. So -4. And then once you know the frame data on the move that you want to punish, because Jury stand roundhouse is -4 on block, then you want to go to your character and you want to see your fastest normals, which would be the startup. So since it's -4, if we have anything that's 4 frames or lower than that, then we can punish the stand roundhouse. So we have Ryu's jab, 3 frames, that means it can punish. Stand medium punch is 5 frames, which means it can't punish. So you want to go through here and see, what your best punishes are. It even says super. You want to look at supers too. Super is 4 frames. So that's when you go back to here. And then you block it. And then you just try to punish it. I personally, against this character, I'll always use Ryu's standing light kick because it's 4 frames, it reaches really far, and it's special cancelable. That's something to note as well. Which one of your long pokes are special cancelable and which ones aren't. Because this is good because it's special cancelable. This is a good button as well, but you can't special cancel this. Like, if I do a fireball, you know it's not going to come out. But if I do this, I can get a fireball to come out. So, like, what you basically want to do is just block it and then work on punishing it. Work on your, you know, what your max damage off of this is, or maybe just like a small little punish to get you started. And just, you know, grind that out as long as you want to until you feel comfortable. Because if you mess up, she's gonna block. You should not be worried about confirming during a punish because a punish is guaranteed damage. Jury can't do anything here. This hit is a guaranteed hit because she's at -4 and our light kick is 4 frames. So she has no actions here. But I'll show you. If we use the stand medium punch, which is 5 frames, she can block because she's only -4, if that makes sense. She recovers fast enough to block this, but she doesn't recover fast enough to block this. So this is guaranteed. If you're talking about confirms, that's when you get into things like whiff punishes, which I'll talk about really briefly. Whiff punish, you know, I'm sure you know, because you know you play Tekken, but a whiff punish is wherever you're hitting the limb that they're sticking out or whatever. So like that's when you want to be worried about confirming hits. This move is a hard move to whiff punish due to the crush counter factor, but you know once you get comfortable enough, you can do it. See. Whoops. Whoops. I'm really bad at it, but you know, you get the point. A punish is guaranteed damage, so there's no confirm here. That's just free. I get that. That's for free. Do I buffer for whiff punishing? No. Because... Oh, for whiff punishing? Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you said punishing. For whiff punishing, yes, you will buffer. So, damn, does she have a better move for me to try this on? Let's see. Yeah, this one's better. This one's better. So the way I'm going to record this is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hold block. I whip those... Oops. I whip those jabs so I know when she's going to do the medium kick. For whiff punishing, yes, you normally want to buffer. So like, what I do in this game is whenever I'm throwing out a button, there's normally always a special move behind it. So if you look at my inputs on the left, whenever I press this, I'm pumping for the super. This is an extreme example. A better example would be, let's do it with EX Fireball. So let's say I'm poking with, actually I don't think this is special cancelable with EX Fireball. No, it's not. Let's do stand medium punch. So I press stand medium punch. When I press stand medium punch, I also input a fireball. So you do it really fast. If you can hear my buttons, I'm doing the medium punch and I'm doing the fireball. But the fireball is not coming out because we are in the active whatever frames of this move, so the fireball doesn't come out. But if this button hits something, the fireball will come out. So if you whiff, nothing comes out. If the fireball hits something, the fireball comes out. That's the importance of buffering, because then you can get like crazy whiff punishes, like whenever you see people do like stand light kick into super or whatever. This button's awkward to punish with stand light kick. That's something you want to think about too. You have a button that's giving you trouble. You have to think about the shape of your buttons compared to the shape of theirs, because this stand light kick doesn't hit this move very well, you know what I mean? Like, it's good for stuffing it, but it's not good for punishing it. So this is a lot better. I even like this a lot better. This is very guaranteed. So it comes down to just trying things out, you know. That was a counter poke. Also, that's something. There's a difference between a whiff punish and a counter poke. So a whiff punish is when you're trying to hit their button, and a counter poke is when you're trying to stuff it before it comes out. That's a counter poke. Counter poke. Whiff punish. So. Oh yeah, you said you were playing Akuma. It would probably be helpful if I just picked him, huh? Because then I can just show you the best. Because I played Akuma for a little while when he came out, so I guess I can show you what I like to do with him. I guess we'll just keep practicing against Jury. So, Akuma, he's got some pretty stubby normals, and there's definitely way better Akuma players than me out in there, in the internet. But I think with Akuma, when you're whiff punishing, I feel like this is the go-to button. This button's really good, because you can get. Might not be good against this. Yeah, you got to think about the range too, but this is a good whiff punish button. Hold on. I'm trying to give you a good example. It's a good button to try this against. Let's try it against this one. So. Oops. Jury's too long. Because that will hit on a lot of characters. But let me think of how to demonstrate this. Because Jury has really good normals. So seems like these two are really good against her, probably. Namely this one. But this button's really good for whiff punishing in a lot of situations. It's a great button. I actually don't like any of Akuma's buttons versus Jury right now. Maybe crouch medium kick, but his crouching medium kick has been very good. How to get in. So for understanding how to get in with this character, I think Akuma is really good at getting in, actually. He's a bit stubby and neutral. He doesn't have the best buttons in the world. They get the job done. But with him, what were the things I talked about earlier? Oh, so movement. Akuma has really good walk speed. Let me turn this off. He has really good walk speed. Walk speed is super important in these games because the walk speed your character have basically allows you to control when you want the other person to do something. Because if you're walking towards someone, they're going to do something, right? So you can use that to your advantage. You can use that to walk out. Walk out, wait for a whiff, punish it. Or like walk out, wait for a whiff, and jump. So it's kind of all about baiting the other person. Um, it's also a lot about understanding which of your normals give you plus frames. So like, for example, Akuma's down fears is +3 on block. Let me turn this to guard off. So if Jury blocks this, if she tries to press anything, she gets beat by Stan MK because it's a frame trap. I'll show you by setting a guard recovery action. That might be her jab. Yeah, that's her jab. Her jab is, let's see, because I actually don't know. It might be, I think both of her jabs are, both of her jabs are 3 frames, I think. Yeah, standing light punch is 3 frames. So, even if Jury presses her fastest normal right here, she'll get beat because this is +3 on block. This +3, we're hitting a 5 frame normal. But since we're +3, that basically means that our next normal is 2 frames. But also for getting in, Street Fighter 5 is kind of a game where you're always gonna have to take a risk, right? So what I suggest to you is to utilize your walking to try to get in and get them to block your stuff. You can confirm frame traps, yes. I'll show you a better example of this because you can do things like create strings that, god damn it, create strings that are frame trap strings. Damn. Let me show you with my character because I don't know very much about Akuma. He's kind of stubby. But yes, you should try to confirm frame traps if you can. I'll show you with Ibuki because this was my character and I feel like I'm probably gonna go back to playing her. So let me show you with Ibuki because she's mad cheap. So let's make Ryu jab on recovery. Yo, what's he doing? Oh, that's a wake up action, not a guard recovery action. Alright, so Ryu's jab is 3 frames. So with Ibuki, I have this string where I can do low jab, stand medium punch, standing light kick. So to take the guesswork out of confirming, because confirming a hit, one hit is hard, right? So instead of trying to confirm off one hit, you might want to try to find a block string that gives you more time to confirm. Because since this is 3 hits, that gives me time to visually see if they mashed or not, and then I can confirm, you know. So if anything, I think you should probably try to watch good Akuma players, you know, Tokido, and look at what block strings they use. So you can steal block strings from good players. Stealing tech is the easiest way. The more difficult way is going to the calculator and figuring it out, you know, on your own. Which, you know, if we go to Ibuki, I'll give you an example. That string I'm using uses her crouching light punch, which is 4 frames and +2 on block. Then I do standing medium punch, which is 5 frames. So there's a 3 frame gap there that, so if they mash, my 5 frame beats that. And then from the standing medium punch, it's +2 on block. I'll do standing light kick, which standing light kick is 4 frame startup. So there's a 2 frame gap there. So if they mash anything there, they also get hit. So this is the difficult way to do it. The best way would be to go and look at the best players of your character and just stealing what they do. That's honestly what I do. I try to come up with my own things, but there's no sense in it when someone else has already done the work, right? Then you can, if someone's already done the work for you, then you can just focus on like applying it, not trying to discover it. Oops. I actually don't know what to do here. But Shibuki has a lot of frame traps. Not a character you press a lot of buttons against. Do you mean if they mash during the block string? If they mash during the block string. So here, let me go back over what I was talking about. The string that I'm currently talking about is crouching jab, standing medium punch, standing light kick. So from crouching jab is +2. Since it's +2, that means I can act 2 frames before they do. Which means I should press another button, which would be my standing medium punch. Standing medium punch comes out in 5 frames. But if you think about it this way, since I'm +2 from here, if I press medium punch, it comes out in 3 frames. And since it comes out in 3 frames, medium buttons beat light buttons. So since they will hit on the same frame, instead of a trade, my button will win. But this is a complicated example because this game has a button priority system. So heavies beat mediums, mediums beat lights if they hit on the same frame, blah 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 blah. But it also applies to the frame trap situation. So basically you want to look for a plus button into a fast button, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm losing this explanation, but we're gonna keep going. So there's a 3 frame gap there. If Ryu blocks, you know, nothing happens. If he mashes, right now we have him mashing. If he blocks, we got Ryu set to mash after he blocks something. So since I'm +2 right here, if I press my button, it beats him. That's a frame trap. And then from there, if it hits, I get one of those. So basically all I was saying is you need to find, because look, if he doesn't mash, and I do this, I'm safe, right? But if he does mash, I get a hit. I can do, you know, whatever I want to do. So frame traps are very, very important. Street Fighter V is a very frame trap heavy game. So you're going to want to watch some Tokido. You're going to want to steal all his frame traps. Or, you know, just really any Akuma player. Like XSK Samurai. I'm trying to think of this other Akuma player. He's Chris Nguyen, I believe that's his name. He's also very good at Akuma. Kami has been playing Akuma a lot lately. So you just gotta go steal some tech and then you'll be set in gold. Oops. Correct. You want to find a string that is full of frame traps and leaves you safe if you don't continue it. Because at the end of this, so if I spin, this is something too you got to look at. If I spin meter right here, I'm plus. But if I don't want to spin meter, then I'm a minus. I believe the stand light kick is -1 or -2. So a -2 is. Oh, I'm sorry. -1 is unsafe, but they can't punish you because this game doesn't have like anything 1 frame. The fastest things in Street Fighter are 3 frames. So a -1, he can't do anything to me, and I'm okay. So you're gonna want to find, like I said, I'm sure there's tons and tons of videos and tech about Akuma because people absolutely love that character. To find yourself at least one good block string, because I believe that was something you asked as well. Like, what are the things to look for when you're finding a new character or playing a new character? Block strings are definitely one of the most important things. So I think that was a semi-solid explanation of what's going on here. But yeah, it all comes down to plus frames. You got to know what your plus buttons are. Like for Ibuki, for example, I know this is plus, this is plus, this is plus, this is plus, and EX Kunai is plus. Yes. We got whiff punishing, we got counter poking, we got block strings, we got frame traps. It's a lot of stuff. Talked a little bit on how to get in. Ooh, that's quite a question you asked right there. So the fireball game is definitely one of the more complicated aspects of Street Fighter. And you may say, oh, we're just throwing fireballs. But when you see a fireball, a lot of newer players think it's for damage, right? But it's important to remember, because yeah, you're playing a Shoto. So let's just go back to Akuma. Throwing fireballs is like, it's an art. It's an art form. Because a lot of newer players think that it's just for damage, when it most definitely is not. So I will show you the applications of fireballs really quickly. So I want you to think of a fireball as a poke. I don't want you to think of it as a damage tool. Like, yeah, it can be used as damage, but if you're standing here, it's a poke. Just as well as, like, this is a poke, this is also a poke. But something to remember is this has a hurt box, this does not. This is just a projectile, meaning that fireballs are a really good poke from ranges where you're scared of getting whiff punished, if that makes sense. Like, let's say Nash is throwing, let's see. Say Nash is throwing out one of these. If you're scared of getting hit by throwing out this button or whatever, you can use your fireball as a poke to whiff punish it. Like, it's hard to do, right? But once you get a sense of timing in the game, you can use fireballs to whiff punish people. So that's one application of a fireball. Something important is EX Fireball. EX Fireball is fast. It's super fast, which makes it easier to use it to whiff punish people. But we'll talk about EX Fireball in a second because it's a whole nother beast on its own. So anyway, back to what I was saying. when you throw a fireball, you want to use it as a way to control the pace of the match. Because, for example, if you're playing against a character that doesn't have a fireball and you do, you control everything that goes on because you can always have something on the screen that they have to deal with. So when you throw a fireball, you want to pay attention to how they are dealing with it. So, for example, some people might just block it. If they're blocking it a lot, what does that mean? That means that you can take space, right? If they're blocking these fireballs and not doing anything, that lets you dash, that lets you advance, right? And if you advance, that's how you can get your plus frame normals and your frame traps started. You know what I mean? So that's one way to look at it. If he's blocking, let's look at if Nash decides to jump a fireball. Here, we'll do it the other way because it's easier. Let's record this. And that's all. So, if they're jumping. Oh, this works perfectly, actually. So, you see how Nash, for some reason, the way I recorded it, back fierce is coming out. But if they're neutral jumping your fireballs a lot, well, neutral jumping is one of the best ways to deal with it. But if you have a good fireball like Nash does, he can punish you if you decide to jump over his fireballs from certain ranges. So that's something to think about too. You can use it to make people jump. And if they decide to jump, you can, you know, go up here. You might be able to anti-air them or things like that. Also, that's just neutral jump. Forward jump. Forward jump is the most annoying thing to deal with in Street Fighter. But, you know, obviously you use your fireballs to make them forward jump, and if they forward jump, you know, you hit them with one of these. The anti-air. So, going back to throwing fireballs, you want to use it to control the pace of the game and force the other person to do the things that you want them to do. Or look at what they're doing and adjust your game plan accordingly. Also, something to note is Street Fighter is a fast-paced game. So if you notice someone's doing something, like, you need to notice what they're doing off of the first few, because some people, not as great players, will not adapt. So it's like, after maybe one or two, you need to see what they're doing. Also, you want to incorporate waiting. Waiting is probably the most important thing in Street Fighter. The way I think about it when I throw fireballs is I'm thinking about how many of these can I throw before they decide to do something. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll throw fireballs for a while and then I'll wait. Like pump jabs so they think I'm doing something and then see how they respond. Like maybe they think I'm going to throw another one. So I get a free anti-air. Maybe they think I'm going to throw another one, so they dash, and then you can, you know, keep them out with your pokes. So, again, that goes back to using fireballs to make people do what you want them to do. Something to note, too, the speed of the fireballs. This is important. For some reason, it looks like all of Akuma's are the same speed. But I actually don't know if all of his are the same speed. Let's check really quickly. If not, I'll use Nash as an example because he's like the most extreme example. Nash probably has the best fireballs in the game. So let's look at Go Hadoken. Okay, this says they're all 14 frame startup. And they have different amount of active frames and they have the same recovery. So all of Akuma's fireballs are the same speed. So for him, the only variable will be EX fireball. But let's say you're playing as or you're playing against a character that has different fireball speeds. Nash, for example. That's the light fireball. It's the fastest one. Nash also works in reverse to other characters. Most characters' fastest fireball is the heavy button, but Nash's buttons are in reverse. So his light is the fastest, his medium is in the middle, and his heavy is the slowest. So something to remember if you ever play a character like this who has different fireball speeds is you can use these to throw off the other person's timing. Because see the difference? So you can use this and then use this. And he recovers so fast that he can act. So if they do anything, he can be on top of it. Nash most definitely has the best fireball in this game. So with Akuma, you can apply that with Akuma with EX fireballs. Because if you're doing this and then you throw out an EX, you can throw off the other person's timing. Maybe they'll jump into it, maybe they'll dash into it, blah blah blah. I see chat bubbles. Excuse me. Correct. Use the fireball to limit their options. Force them to places where they're going to jump or they're going to do something that you want them to do. Control the pace of the game with the fireball, basically. It's a TLDR, because I was rambling. Oh yeah, this is something else that I wanted to talk about. EX fireballs are good for gaining space. So if you're backed into the corner and someone's, you know, pressuring you in the corner, fireballs push the opponent back a little bit. So what a lot of players do, and what I personally like to do, is if you have meter, you can, and you guys are dancing, you can EX fireball because it pushes them back really far. And it's also plus on block. EX fireball is +4. Regular fireballs, they look like they're +5, but the EX are fast, and you can just spin meter very quickly to get people away from you. So that's also a good application for it. So that's something you have to think about, like how far your fireballs are pushing them away, blah blah blah, things like that. But TLDR, use fireballs to limit their options. Vary on your regular fireball and your EX fireball to throw off their timings. And if you have your back against the wall, don't be afraid to spin your meter to use EX fireball to get space. Something you have to think about too is Akuma has a air fireball. This is something very important. Akuma's air fireball basically allows him to jump for free. That's how I'm going to word it to you. A lot of characters don't have good anti-airs that can beat this. So this is a very, very, very good way to get in with Akuma. Something else to remember. The lower the fireball hits on the person, the more frame advantage you're going to have. Because that's just how moves like this work. So if you hit them like at their feet with the fireball, you're going to be more plus than if you were to hit them on their head. So air fireball with Akuma is a good way to get in, because a lot of people can't anti-air it very well. They'll have to read you really hard to deal with it. Something else you'll see, I see Tokyo use this a lot. This goes back to the thing I was talking about of gaining space. EX air fireball is very good for gaining space, because he recovers so quickly and they have to deal with the fireball. Akuma is, I think he's one of the best characters in the game solely because of this. He's so hard to anti-air. Like, the characters I play, I have to spin meter to anti-air him. That's something else too. When you're playing, you want to pay attention to the meters, because that basically tells you what options are on the table and what options aren't on the table. For example, with Nash, against Nash, if Nash has no meter and you do this, he can't do anything. Like, he legitimately has barely any options against this. The only thing he can really do is dash underneath. But if he decides to block this, like, or should I say, he doesn't have any anti-air options. He can't hit you out of the air. He'll have to air you, or he'll have to dash under. So that's just something to think about too. That's why I think Akuma is so good, and that's why I despise playing against him. I hate playing against Akuma. Oh my god. Oh yeah, speaking of getting in, EX Demon Flip is very good for getting in because it's plus on block. So don't be afraid to end your block strings in one of those. Whoops. It's very good up close. Something you have to think about though is if you do it from far away, it's fast and it's good, but they can also anti-air. So it's kind of a gimmick, but it's a very good gimmick, I will say, when people aren't expecting it. So when you have the corner, you basically just want to frame trap them to death. The thing about the corner is like, you don't really have to worry about pushback or anything like that. So in the corner, you really want to do your best to keep them there and kill them. Also, something to note is when you get someone in the corner, they're going to be looking for every single way in the book to get out of the corner. So often when the screen position is like what we're looking at, you're going to want to look for how is the other person looking to escape. Do they neutral jump? Do they forward jump? Do they mash on a certain normal? Um, Things like that. Also, something about the corner is it's very good to set up for whiff punishes. Because if you do this, like, what's a good example? Pretty much in the corner, you always know what range their normal is going to be thrown from because they can't walk backwards and make it ambiguous. So it's like a lot of people will do block strings. This is something Punk is very good at. Is he'll do. That's a good button. Punk will do block strings that leave him at specific ranges. So let's go over here. If we do this, let's make up a block string really quickly. This block string leaves us at this range. If Nash mashes, see how that block string put us at the perfect range for a whiff punish? That's something very important that you're gonna want to try to think about once you start, once you start leveling up your gameplay, or if you're looking to, since you're looking to level up, this is something you're gonna want to pay attention to, where your block strings leave you at. So from here, you can get a sweep if I, do it the right way. Whoops. Yeah, you get the point. It's hard though, but when you're in the corner, you want to do your best to keep them there, look for the ways they try to escape, and when you see your advantage, just go in there and frame trap him because Akuma's got good mix-ups. He's got +3 buttons, Demon Flip. Demon Flip is good because it has the throw, it has the high, and it has the dive kick, and it also has the low option. So it's like you got mix-ups for days. You've got Raging Demon. I'll teach you this great gimmick about Raging Demon. I use it a lot. It might not be good anymore, but I'm sure it'll steal you some victories. So let's record guard recovery action. Let's record Nash doing a sweep. Oops, and then let's set the guard recovery action. So see how Nash can sweep my sweep back? If I have Raging Demon, whoops, it beats the sweep. You can see the sweep when he does it. Whoops. I wish you could see it better, but basically, you can cancel recovery frames into Raging Demon. So that's why this works. Beats the sweep clean. But that's a gimmick. I used to hit Brian with this all the time. But what are we talking about? Corner. Oh yeah. So yeah, in the corner you just basically wanna do your best to keep them there. See how they try to get out. Some people get scared in the corner, so they're pretty desperate and they'll do dumb shit like neutral jump. You just walk forward and anti-air them and, you know, do things to keep them grounded. You can do some crazy max damage Akuma fireball combos. Oh, you can also go for resets. What I like to do with Akuma is I'll do stuff like when you have, like, you know, the next combo's not gonna kill, you can do this. Standing medium punch causes... Oh, no. Did they take this out of the game? Oh, no, it's still there. Oh, so... I don't know. If you know... I'll just go over the term Oki. So Oki is the Japanese word for it. You'll also hear it being called Okizime, setup, set play, etc., etc. Basically, it's just covering the person's wake up whenever you knock them down. So, I don't know very many setups with Akuma. So I will switch your character I know. You'll also hear like meaty setups or meaties. That's basically what it is. So I'll use Nash. Or here, I'll use Ibuki. She's a better example because then I can show you what a frame kill is. So, beginning. I think I mentioned whenever you are learning a new character, you want to figure out your moves that knock the opponent down. And give you good knockdowns. What that means is, so first off, this game has 3 different recovery options. I don't know if you know that, but I'm just gonna let you know. There's a quick rise, which is that. There's a back rise, which is where they roll backwards. And then there's a no rise, where they don't get up at all. So what Oki set play meaty aims to do is cover 1 or 2 or all of those options. That's basically all you're trying to do. Force the other person to block. So the best way to test this is to set the dummy to wake up with the fastest normals in the game, which are 3 frames. Ryu has a 3 frame. So we set Ryu to wake up with a 3 frame, which means that this is the fastest possible thing a person can do on wake up. So if we can cover this, we can cover anything. So let's go to the most common rise. I feel like the most common rise is back rise because people know it's very good. But here, I'll just do back rise. So Ibuki, when she gets a knockdown with Raida, oh shit, actually, I'll do quick rise and then I'll explain something else later. So when she gets a knockdown with Raida and they quick rise, she gets dash medium kick. Oh no, it's dash medium punch, excuse me. That's medium. They will always get hit if they mash right here. They do a 3 frame or anything else, anything slower than that, this will cover everything. The only thing this loses to is invincible moves, which I'm sure you know about. Is this a DP? Let's see. Nope, that's not a DP. Ryu's EX uppercut is invincible. The regular ones are not. The EX1 is invincible. So if we do the same meaty setup, that will beat the meaty setup because it's invincible. But that's the only thing you have to worry about there. So, going back to this, you want to aim to cover 3 frames. So you need to look at your moves that knock down, and you need to see what your character gets off of that. What else is something about Oki? Oh, there's, let me see, do I know how to cover it? There's some setups that cover quick rise and back rise. Oh yeah, that's something too. Here, let's see. He set the back rise, right? Yeah. So let's do this. So notice, if I do the knockdown with her DP and I do medium punch, that's a meaty. But if I do this and I do medium punch, it whiffs. It whiffs because Ryu does a back rise instead of a quick rise. This setup only covers quick rise, not back rise. That's something important to think about because you might learn a meaty setup for quick rise, but they back rise and it won't work anymore. That's also something to remember when you're on defense. If your opponent is getting lazy and they're doing a setup that only covers quick rise every single time, you can back rise to get out of that and reset to neutral. So that's something to remember. You might, with Akuma, you might learn a setup that covers a quick rise, but doesn't cover a back rise. You might learn a setup that covers a back rise, doesn't cover a quick rise, etc. So when you look for Akuma stuff, just be aware of what rises you can cover. I'm pretty sure Akuma is pretty good at covering quick and back rise though, so I think you'll be good. What's something else important here? Oh yeah, no recovery. That's something too, because this obviously, you know, this covers quick rise, but if he doesn't get up, then I don't get anything, right? But this is where frame kills come in. So this game has, basically you whiff certain normals to cover a certain get up. So with Ibuki, I get my knockdown with Raida, they don't rise off of this, they don't quick rise, so I get nothing, right? But if I do this, whoops, that's the setup, right? That covers, hold on a second. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be meaty. Yeah, okay. This is what I do with Ibuki. So, they quick rise, they get hit with the knee. They no rise, the knee whiffs. But if I do this, then I get another meaty setup. So I can effectively cover quick tech and no tech with this setup. Because the slide, that whenever I do this, I do the slide, that sets up for a perfectly timed down fierce to hit meaty. So, when you're looking for Oki, you might find some of those frame kills for your own character. And they're pretty good. So, just keep that in mind that exists. Also keep in mind, well, I'll just tell you this, just as a tip against Ibuki. Ibuki's Raida is a very good move to knock down with, because this move does not allow people to back tech. As you see, Ryu is set to back tech, and he doesn't back tech here. So that means they can only quick rise or no tech on this knockdown, which means that this meaty is extremely strong. Ibuki can cover everything if she gets a knockdown with this. That's part of why she's such a good character, I think. And that's why I'm never in combos with this, because it's a guess at that point. Like, yeah, there are meaties to cover that, but I don't really... Why worry about that, you know, when I can just do Raida. So, I hope that was something useful. pretty much every time you get a knockdown, you want to knock people down with moves that give you a good knockdown that allow you to meaty them. I was also gonna say, so a meaty. Let's make Ryu. What do you want him to do? Oh, let's make him not wake up the action. Let's make him do a guard recovery action. This also goes back to frame traps, because if I meaty with this, I'm +2, right? He's forced to block, it's +2. That means I can set up my frame traps right here. See? It all kind of flows into each other. I don't think that frame trap works anymore because they increased pushback on her. Because they killed my character, but whatever. But yeah, so if he mashes, he gets hit. If he blocks, you're plus. And you get to do whatever you want. Frame trap, blah, blah, blah. Oops. Whoops. Why isn't that working? Oh yeah, this is only works from a distance. But yeah. So yeah, that's basically meaties. Yeah. You just gotta, once you get like learning the actual tag with Akuma, I'm sure you'll definitely it'll start to make a lot of sense. Because whenever you watch, that's why it's important when you watch like top players play to notice what moves they're deciding to knock people down with, and then seeing what they get off of that. Like, oh, that's a meaty. Like, oh, he knocked down with Tatsu, dashed up and did this. Oh, that's a meaty setup. Or like, noticing what block strings they decide to do, or what buttons they use to poke with in neutral, and things like that, because they're looking for certain things, or like they're doing it for a reason. So, damn, I don't think that works anymore. God, they killed my character. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Can she not juggle after this anymore? Oops. Oh my god. Okay. What did they do to her? Only the second hit hits now. And you can't special cancel the second hit anymore. Oh my god. What did they do to my character? Ah, that sucks. Alright. Is there anything else we are missing? What time is it? 30. Oh yeah, I can do this in the corner still, I think. No? Oh, that does work. Cool. Yeah, we can play some. How do I throw the up one? Oh, okay. One moment. Yeah, we can play some. I think I'll probably kill the stream now, so.